Yeah, so let's go into talking about Project Freedom, a little bit about Kassar Performance and Design, which is the evolution of Kassar Brothers Garage. So this car right here it started life out as a 2021 Ford Mustang GT California Special. It's an official VIN plate. It's actually one of the last Oxford White 6-speed manual 5.0 Calis that were built in 21. So I was just sitting in a restaurant by myself, and I'm thinking, as much as I love what I'm paying my dues and trying to make the best of things, there's got to be something that I can do to really set myself and really take off and become. I don't want to just be a turn page in a book. I want people to recognize the accomplishments, the things I want to do. It's not the self of being self-absorbed. It's I want to make an impact on younger generations of car enthusiasts. And so I was sitting there with a napkin and a pen in my hand, and I'm like, okay, I thought of my 08, but I also thought about Carroll Shelby, Lee Iacocca, and I thought about every single Mustang that has ever been done. But what is one that has never really truly been taken to the 11? What would Carroll do? What would Lee Iacocca do? And what would Gail Halderman do? You know, the brainchilds of the Mustang and what it is today. Yeah. I really thought about, because the cool part about the Mustang GT California is unlike, a Boss 302 or Boss 9 or, a Mach 1 or, any Cobra Mustang is that, it's all about luxury, style, and performance. So as the time moved forward, I really thought to myself after when I'm drawing that is like, the S550, especially 18 and up, is such a perfect Mustang silhouette design from a side profile. Yeah. And white is so classy, and it has to be done so properly to be executed. So I sat there, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this right. And then I thought about, okay, this is going to be class, style, perfection. That's exactly the three components I thought. So the class component is, what can I take from a 68 and late 60s Mustang of that design and integrate that into today's, harkening back and bring everything back that and meeting them in the middle. Right. And that's really what I thought. So once I started doing that, then I started doing some sketches and some things like that, and I'm like, okay. And then what really hit me is that, Mustang, especially GTs, and the 68, 67, 68, and 69, and are so synonymous for the quad headlights, and that is something that was missing on an S550 in general sense. So when Ford developed the Mach 1 front clip, I'm like, that's it, but I've got to be able to do certain things that's going to make it off the edge. So this Mustang in particular was the first on the planet to have a full front end clip conversion from an OEM Mach 1 on the planet. Is that I wanted to be able to have a car that I can just go drive on the town. It's comfortable. It doesn't beat you up. The suspension's fully adjustable. But when it comes to track day, I'm gonna beat the snot out of it. I'm gonna put some 911s in my rear view. And I really did a lot of research. I'm like, what a lot of guys who don't have a lot of capital, who don't have a lot of means to be able to do these things, they buy a car, they build it because they're a bunch of badass builders, and be able to showcase that. And I said, what's the one way I can showcase my talent, knowledge, and everything? Passion. It's at SEMA. And SEMA is such a great event for the entire automotive world, community, and industry. And I said, that's what I'm going to set my sights on. After I got everything established as far as the company to be a legitimate company, and then doing so even though I didn't have any overhead or anything like that, everyone starts small. The best things start in American garages. So I did that, and so I really set my sights on of that. Got to do everything I need to do to get myself in a position so I can actually buy the car. Right. And then also be able to put proposals out there to amazing companies and build partnerships and relationships to support the build. And I was able to do that in the period of time. And then, I was able to work with Brian Monaco of Monaco Auto Design. He's a phenomenal CAD and auto renderer. And I do some of that too myself, but he's been a strategic partner in my business.
Were there any key initial partnerships that came on board that kind of got you kick-started?
Absolutely. Royal Purple is the biggest one. I want to thank JP Hayden and the entire Royal Purple team, because without them, none of this would have been possible. They are just a class act, and the entire Calumet organization as a whole that is owned by Royal Purple. And we still have a phenomenal relationship to this day. And
so you're at SEMA in 21.
So I was at SEMA 2021, and this is when I was procuring and doing all of my introductions to strategic partners that I wanted to be a part of the build, that were definitely from an engineering standpoint to develop products for this specific build, but also from what their brand recognition and their impact on the industry is going to be in terms of making this one of the most significant builds of what would be SEMA 2022. Royal Purple, after our meeting, came on board, and after a few months of doing all that, and then there were strategic partners, I'll list them out: Cerakote, AED Performance. They build the best control arms and billet componentry suspension for modern muscle I've ever seen.
Wow.
They're made out of T6060 billet aluminum. All the guys over there are just amazing. And then Willwood, Hawk Performance, Fortunato, Dynocomp just down the street from us here.
All right, cool.
Richard did a phenomenal job tuning the car. That's why it makes so much power naturally aspirated. I'll get into that in a minute. And then also Studio RSR custom made the chromoly roll cage for me. And then I've got a lot of great connections at Ford and Ford Performance, so provided all the OEM parts that I needed. Worked with QA1. It's got a QA1 single piece carbon fiber drive shaft in it. Worked with Vengeance clutch. It's got a twin disc ceramic clutch with a lightweight racing flywheel. It's got GT350R half shafts in it. And then also it's got custom IRS subframe braces, and everything on the car, all the IRS subframe braces and everything are all T6060 billet bushings and solid mounted with Delrin bushings. Even the differential is as well. And then it, as far as oil, it runs 11.5 quarts of 5W30 XPR racing engine oil from Royal Purple. So anyways, I was saying, all the fluids in it are everything Royal Purple. It's got Hawk brake fluid in it, and it's got hot HP5 racing pads on it. Car stops from 60 to 0 in 90 feet. And we completely Cerakoted the long tube catless headers to the Borla 3-inch active exhaust and X-pipe. And then on the X-pipe, this is really what's cool about the story about the build, the story within the story about the build, is that all the exhaust was Cerakoted in-house in Oregon at the headquarters for Cerakote by a retired Marine.
Love it.
Because this car is the namesake of Project Freedom, it's a dedication to American exceptionalism, engineering, and freedom, and everything that us as Americans hold so true and so dearly. And that's the Mustang soul behind it, that this car is larger than life. The brand is larger than life. The namesake is larger than life. It's Ford's baby. Ford would not be where it is today without this car. When I brought the final job, finished rendering together, everyone was just like, oh my gosh, I've never seen a modern Mustang like this. All I'm reminded of is late 60s. That's all I'm reminded of. It's so clean and put together and well thought out. And every time I'm at an event that I'm very careful on events that I choose to go to, but the main thing that I get from everybody is that it's so well thought out. It is so thoroughly designed. And to me, that's the greatest thing. I'll never forget, I was sitting with my now fiance, in our hotel room in Vegas the night before the unveil. When everything was done, the car was put in the booth. I completely cried my eyes out. There's just all that passion, all that energy, and everything that I put money, blood, sweat, tears. I cut my hand wide open cutting this car, everything together, and it was just a reckoning. And remember what we talked about earlier in that reconciliation of hope.
Yeah.
Is that anything, no matter where you come from, no matter who you are, and no matter what you can do, as long as you have faith, belief in yourself, and that you can do it, even when everybody's telling you no.
Go for it.
When my Uncle Steve and I pulled back the covers of that car, it was unbelievable. I mean, just unbelievable, the feedback. Some of these gentlemen that I've been following to inspired me to get to that level of incredible craftsmanship,
right,
have heard about my build and me. And it's just, it was.
It's tough when the people you looked up to now are suddenly looking up to you.
Yeah,
it's a humbling thing.
It's a very humbling thing. And then, at the Keystone Automotive Show in Denver at the time, because Royal Purple wanted me to come out, bring the car out, is that, it was a great show. We had a lot of great success. And then I finally had some one-on-one time with Jim and Mike, and really came to, and they got to look at every inch of the car, and they said, I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah.
And to get their validation approval is honestly probably one of my biggest accomplishments in my career thus far.
Tell me a little bit about your vision then for your Cassar performance and design. I mean, so you're bringing everything you learned on this and everything you also learned in your working for Ford and other places.
Yeah, so yes, that's great, because so my vision for Cassar Performance's design is it's for everybody and anybody, but there's a button here. They have to know that we are of class, style, and perfection, like I said earlier, and that it's an American high-end domestic performance and design firm. And so I've always been a fan of high-end production, classic pro touring.
Right.
And that's, a lot like what the Ring brothers do, but what they do is at such an exceptional level. But within that space, and then I also want to do automotive design and rendering, have a whole automotive design department, engineering department.
No more back of the napkins.
Right, yeah, exactly, exactly. And then we'll have an entire final assembly, fabrication, and chassis, suspension. So it's literally, I've already have it mapped out on paper and in my head on that when I'm able to someday, when I'm able to invest in a facility as nice as what we're in now, or as larger than that, is that everything will be strategically laid out like an assembly line.
Sure.
We're going to tailor to everyone that loves Chevrolet, GM, and Ford.
Right.
And that's going to be our niche.
That's
because
cool.
I have a passion for classic Chevrolet, but I have a huge passion for Ford, being so much history I have in my family. But that's the envision.
I love that you spread the wealth around in this car. I mean, you needed a lot of help to get it done. It was your vision and your passion, but behind anyone who has a vision and a passion, it's like they pull the people around them and help them see your vision, and this is the result.
Yeah.